Last week was rather busy. The trees still have it in for me, and I have been staying up too late, which requires more coffee. There's always a silver lining. Because of all of this, I missed a week of random thoughts, but I am back now and ready to do them again. These are some random TTRPG thoughts. Let's roll it. Mornings. Last week, I was able to play Clever, Cool, Crazy by RPGs versus Alzheimer's disease founder Glenn Finney. The system is interesting because it encourages players to describe their intended actions as vividly as possible so they can get some bonuses. We also played it in the B5 universe, which made it even more fun. I got to run my CypherCon game this past weekend, and it was amazing. Here's a rundown for you. The party started out in the home of one of the characters' parents, who then decided that they were rich and disapproved of their choice to go on an adventuring career. So we started out in an 80s teen coming-of-age movie, which was just wonderful. They were then recruited by a giant penguin to find their child. They stole the family's horseless carriage and convinced some toll goblins that they had an easy pass. Before they were able to camp for the night, though, a tornado swept across the area and one player got tossed way far away, but survived. Kind of. That night, one player attempted a grift at the tavern by picking a fight, but it all blew up and they ended up in a general bar rumble. That was awesome. The next day passed without incident until they disturbed a mass of vampire bats while setting up camp, so they were forced to fight them off. And then on the third day, they reached their location only to discover a giant stalk growing out of it, which climbed up into the clouds. They climbed it. Of course, there are rules. And then at the top, they found a field of clouds. There were some odd crops growing in distant patches, and a small house a short distance away from them. In the house, they found the baby they were looking for, who was being watched by a kindly old man that most of the party realized was their hometown's mayor. But one player, in discovering this, triggered an intrusion and ended up blurting out their realization that mayor died 2 years earlier. This, of course, led the big bad to drop their disguise and attack, which was a lot of fun. The group defeated the demonic entity, saved the baby, and pilfered an artifact from the house, a wand of flame-throwing, before they then decided to head home. But before they could get far, the clouds became dense, and they ended up all passing out, only to wake up in the sitting room where the adventure had begun, moments after the butler left them to get some refreshments. The wand, however, was still in the character's pocket who had pilfered it, and there was a note on the table which read, "Thank you." 90% of that was rolled up during the session just by some random tables. 9% was the bar fight the group invented, and the final 1% was the dream, which didn't really come into being until both the giant penguin and the beanstalk both showed up as a result of those table rolls. It was a lot of chaos and such an amazing time. I had a friend in town last week, and when we were figuring out what to do, he mused, "Well, do you have a game store we can visit?" I thought that was a wonderful idea, so after a morning walk to get some coffee, again, there are rules, we hopped in the car to visit Top Deck Games in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I was not going to buy anything because I'm trying to save up for GameholeCon, but as soon as I walked in, I saw they had Daggerheart in stock, which I've been wanting to pick up a while now for a review, so into my hands it went. And, well, I don't have to worry about taking things home from GameholeCon now. Psst. Hey, did you know I had a merch store? In it, you can find cool t-shirts and hoodies like this one that calls people to roll dice and change worlds. Find this design as well as many others at this link right here. Let's get back to the randomness. Evie Mooks did a fine job handling the actual play of Clever, Cool, Crazy, and as a bonus, I can actually set up all my scenes and in a pinch even run a stream from my iPad. So that's very nice. It's far less expensive than things like StreamYard, though to get all the features I'm looking for, I need to shell out a good amount of cash. Now, why am I not just using OBS since that's free? In a word, it's bandwidth. I don't have enough to drag in 4 or 5 players via Video Ninja with any sort of quality. Also, I get tired of having to kludge through highlighting comments during a stream. I just wanted it to work, and EVMux does that. When people gang up on the internet to get someone canceled, it is scary looking, because it's kind of scary, but it is free speech. Unsubscribing from a channel, that's free speech. Saying you think that Charlie Kirk's ideology was despicable and the cause of his death was ironic given his own statements about some gun deaths being worth it, that's free speech. Charlie's penchant for being a provocateur was free speech. Jumping to conclusions about Charlie Kirk's assassin, either his background or his ideology, that is free speech. And it is free speech to call such snap assumptions unwise at best. And in case anyone is wondering, I am especially looking at all the folks who insisted he's a groiper here, because those seem to be the folks who think I'm on their team. At the same time, saying that you're happy he's dead or that you don't have any empathy about his death for anyone is also free speech, and so is me unsubscribing and disassociating from such people who do that, because I think it's poisonous. The moment the FCC threatened to use the levers of its power to punish speech which angered the regime, free speech for all of us suffered a direct attack from the federal government. And watching right-wing voices decry what happened to Jimmy Kimmel has been interesting. Also, just to point out, media conglomerates suck and are damaging our society. That statement is also protected by free speech. I was just going over last week the likely charges I'd accrue through Lyft trips at GameholeCon, and figured out it's better for me to rent a car. Some extra freedom will be pretty nice, so I guess I can't bemoan that too much. On September 29th, I'm going to begin the playthrough of my Easy D6 Howlmark trilogy on the channel. Play is going to begin at 8:30, and I'd like to offer some perks for super chats during the play. Perhaps giving a boon, a bane, or even allowing people to add some karma. I have never tried to do this, so folks, you got any suggestions for it? If you're looking for a really cool convention in the Philly area, check out Page 3. It's going to happen January 15th through 18th in 2026. The ratio of special guests to attendees is off the chart, so the chances of bumping into the likes of Professor Dungeon Master, Kelsey Dion, Baron Durop, and other notable folks from the hobby is very high. I'm going to be there running Sentinel Comics RPG and Into the Odd, sitting in on a panel and doing some interviews for the event. Go check it out. I have applied for my PAX Unplugged media badge, and I'm looking forward to seeing what folks have going on this year. Now, last year at PAX U, I had a bunch of scheduled interviews. That cut down on my wandering time, and I did miss some things that I was hoping to get to, but it was amazing to do some longer form chats as well. If I am privileged enough to get a media badge this year, I'll have to see how things shake out. My next personal goal as a channel is to hit the $100 a month income through YouTube. That would trigger a payout every month then. In the grand scheme of things, as far as YouTubers is concerned, that is way small potatoes, but for me it feels like a nice marker. Hitting it would pay for my streaming software, it would let me back a few more Kickstarters, and it would free me to pick up some games and other software that I've been wanting to check out for a while and bring it to the channel. I gotta say, as far as a midlife crisis goes, this one's rather benign. And I'm glad that in the process of having this midlife crisis, I get to contribute something back to this amazing hobby. Thank you to everyone who has done the whole like, comment, share, and subscribe thing in response to any of the videos on this channel. It helps a lot. And if you'd consider doing that for this video, I would be most grateful. A special shout out also to my coffee contributors who support this channel out of the kindness of their own hearts. If you'd like to contribute to Caffeinating DM Tales, the link, that's right over there. I am about a third of the way through reading Dave Ward's Ironbound system, and I am looking forward to bringing that review to the channel soon. It's next up. After that is Star Trek Adventures, and I suppose Daggerheart's going to have to be jumping in that line as well. I've got a lot of games to review, and I'm excited by this prospect. As I said in the Random Thoughts, my Howlmark trilogy will be coming to the channel starting on September 29th, and we'll be trying to play those adventures every other Monday until we finish up the arc. But we've also got our Monty Python adventure rescheduled for October 6th, at 8 p.m., and I cannot wait to have that on the channel. It should be a blast, and I really love this system. Finally, I'm going to be out at GameholeCon this year doing interviews, playing games, running Sentinel Comics RPG for a session, and generally just bopping around. So if you're going to be out there at GameholeCon, I would love to say hi. Until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.